Peter, we turn to you first. It was Japan visiting the White House yesterday. Today it's Italy. What do we know about what's actually getting done?
Well, it's hard to know that anything actually is getting done. I mean, look, if you're going to have a trade deal with another country, there are two levels, right? There is the tariff level where you can simply say, fine, I'm going to lower my tariff from X% to Y%. We'll all happy go away, call that a victory. But the real issues with a lot of these trade disputes are more complicated than that. There are things like what kind of standards you hold automobiles to if they're shipped here? What kind of intellectual property rules are there? What kind of adjudication is there of disputes between parties? Those are the kind of things that normally take years to outline. That's why it took so long to negotiate NAFTA, the Trans-Pacific Partnership. All these major mega trade deals over the years were not simply done with a snap of a finger in 90 days. So what he's setting out to do, not just with one country, not just with a handful of countries, but with 70 or 80 or 90 countries, is obviously something less than a comprehensive change of the rules of the road. What he's looking for are enough changes that he can call a victory and say he's won.
Mark, can you just get practical with us? Because there's lots of folks out there who are saying Donald Trump is doing the hard work and we have faith that he's going to get this done practically. Just getting a deal done with one country takes a long time, right? That USMCA took something like 18 months. We've got dozens and dozens of countries, no outlines yet. How long could this go on realistically?
A long time, particularly with the larger trading partners like China or the European Union. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts here, and it's not just about the tariffs. It's about non-trade barriers. It's about, I think the thing that makes it most complicated is I'm not sure the administration knows what it wants from the other players. So it's not quite clear, what's the end game here and what are people looking for to accomplish? And unless you have clear objectives, I think it's going to take a long time to figure it out. So I'd buckle in. I think this is a process. I don't think this is something that we resolve very quickly.
Couple that with it, we've got the IMF telling us that a trade war is only going to weaken growth, not just here, but around the world. So where can people find the green shoots to feel optimistic about the global economy when we've got this looming over us?
It's really hard to imagine that we can. One interesting thing is that emerging markets are actually doing better than U.S. markets recently because people feel that, they never had really good trade deals to begin with. So a total meltdown of U.S., European, Chinese trade creates an opportunity.
I don't think there's green shoots. I mean, this is a lose-lose. I mean, I think everybody loses in this battle. I mean, maybe you can make the case like a country like Brazil might win a bit because instead of the Chinese buying U.S. agricultural products, I'll buy Brazilian product. But other than that, I'm hard pressed to. It's all just shades of gray. There's no sunshine here. So
it's a lose-lose. All that's been created out of this White House. Yet the president is now directing his ire at Fed Chair Jay Powell. If the president is successful and gets Jay Powell to leave, if he pushes him out, what will happen?
Sorry. Go ahead.
I would say bad stuff.
Help us
understand.
Say that too. Okay, help us understand.
Think about what the bond market did after Liberation Day and scared the heck out of everyone and created this 90-day pause. If Jay Powell is not independent and rates get cut, I was talking to a CEO just this week who said we are looking at 6% interest rates, which completely messes up everybody's mortgage.
Yeah, I'm so perplexed by this. What would you hope to accomplish here? I mean, you're going to rattle investor confidence. Investor confidence is already incredibly fragile. I mean, one of the most bizarre things that's happened. I'll take one step back. In times of crises, historically, money comes flowing into the United States of America because we're money good. We're AAA. We're the safe haven on the planet. So that brings interest rates down. The value of the dollar rises. But in this crisis, and I think this is a crisis, just the opposite is happening. Interest rates are going up and the dollar is falling in value, which says that investors are losing faith in the safe haven status of the United States of America. And then you throw into the mix this idea that the central bank the Federal Reserve is no longer independent, and that's exactly the question you have to be asking yourself at this point. I think investors lose faith even more.
Peter, there's some reporting that Scott Bessent is urging the White House to pump the brakes, do not go after Jay Powell. But even if Jay Powell stays to the end of his term, there will be a new Fed chair during Donald Trump's presidency. And traditionally, the Fed chair is the most coveted, highest. If you are someone coming from the world of economics and finance, it is the ultimate position to be in. But let's be honest.
Yeah.
isn't what's happened in the last 2 months going to dissuade many, many viable people, top-notch people who would want a position like that? Aren't they going to back off saying, I won't get to be independent because the way you work under Donald Trump, it's Donald Trump or nothing. Like Jay Powell is in the job, but it's hard. Who's going to want that job next?
Yeah, that's a good question. First of all, let's remind our viewers who Jay Powell is, right? He's not a Biden appointee. He was a Trump appointee. He was put in there by Donald Trump. And Donald Trump then, even his first term, went after Jay Powell time and time again. It was a big fight back then. At one point in 2018, for instance, he threatened to fire Powell. And Powell went and talked to his lawyers. This is a story from a book on Trump. He went and talked to his lawyers about that. The lawyer said, don't worry, this will not stand up in a court of law. This is an independent institution. The president doesn't have the power to fire you, But here's the rub. You have to fight it yourself. You can't have the Fed pay for that. So you don't have to pay for any legal battle to defend the integrity of your office. And Powell told his associates that he would spend my last nickel fighting. That's a direct quote. I'll spend my last nickel fighting to preserve the independence of his position. So firing him is not a given, even if he tries it. And if you're right, I think that it raises questions about why you want that job. Now, having said that, you might say that about every job in the Trump administration, because anybody coming in this second term saw what happened in the first term. Why would you want to be Secretary of Treasury if you're Scott Bessent, knowing that, everybody who comes in Trump's orbit at some point or another has to either, swallow their misgivings about something, live to the flattering praise, requirements of this president, or get fired on Twitter at some point. So it's always been an issue for him getting top people. And yet, let's face it, if you want to be Fed chair, you're sometimes willing to make compromises.
Okay, yes, but it's safe to say, Mark, many people from the finance community were looking at Donald Trump through rose-colored glasses after he won, and they had this notion that he wasn't going to impose these big tariffs, and it was going to be about his legacy, and it was going to be a pro-business, rah time. Many of those people are eating crow right now.
Well, I'm sure they're questioning what's going on. I'm still hope beyond hope. I mean, I think investors are still holding on. The stock market's down, say, 14-15%, but they haven't let go. They still are holding on to, this is going to be turned around. There's an off ramp here. We can figure this out. Then we can get to less regulation. It'll all work out. So once folks figure out that maybe that's not going to happen, then we're down another 15%.
Okay, less regulation and tax cuts.
Yeah,
and I want to talk about where exactly we're going to pay for these tax cuts and talk about Elon Musk for a moment, because his estimates for how much Doge is going to save the federal government, they keep shrinking. I want you to watch this.
How much do you think we can rip out of this wasted $6.5 trillion Harris-Biden budget?
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
$2 trillion.
I think we'll try for $2 trillion. I think that's like the best case outcome. I think if we try for $2 trillion, we've got a good shot at getting one.
You think you'll wind up getting to $1 trillion?
Yeah.
Of savings?
I mean, unless we're stopped, we will get to $1 trillion of savings. I'm excited to announce that we anticipate savings in FY26 from reduction of waste and fraud by $150 billion.
Okay, so we went from $2 trillion to $1 trillion to $150 billion. And our friend Steve Ratner had an amazing chart this morning that really shows how these estimates have fallen off a cliff. And he even points out there's not any details for $92 million worth of the quote unquote savings. Brooke, what does this tell you about Elon Musk's understanding, now that he's inside, of how the government works?
It wasn't very good. A car company seems complicated, but it does one thing. It makes cars. The government runs national parks. It, sends out Social Security checks. It inspects nuclear plants. And if you cut all of that as waste and abuse, who is going to let us into Yellowstone? And who is going to be watching when the nuclear plant stops working?
Peter, if Elon Musk comes in way short on these cuts, like for real, how are they going to get House Republicans to sign off on some huge budget?
Well, that's the problem. I mean, look, what Doge has been going after is discretionary spending, right? Things that are easy to cut because they're not mandatory, like Social Security, Medicare, and so forth. If you put together the things that President Trump has taken off the table, like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, military, and national interest debt, That's about 70% or more of the budget. That means you'd have to cut basically everything else, everything that Brooke just talked about, all the national parks, all the scientific research, the Justice Department, NASA, everything else the government does other than send checks out basically and pay for the military would have to be cut. And even then, you still wouldn't get to $2 trillion. So yes, Elon Musk came into this without any experience in government, didn't understand what he was saying. I was at Madison Square Garden when he made that pledge. He clearly didn't understand anything about how government works, and now he's learning.
Let's talk about where we are seeing cuts, because NBC News has announced a new round of layoffs are underway at the CFPB, that's Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Can you explain to us why this is a very big deal for Americans?
Well, the CFPB was set up after the financial crisis to help protect consumers. So, there was a lot of egregious lending that led up to the financial crisis in 2008, a lot of subprime mortgage lending. And I think the CFPB was put in place to ensure that that did not happen, that you would not see those abuses. And I think, most financial institutions, they have some discomfort with some of the things the CFPB does. Anybody would with the regulator that they're dealing with. But I think in general, they view it as a very positive thing, because there's this thing called Gresham's Law. The bad drives out the good. So if you've got a lot of bad lenders, it makes it very difficult for the good lenders to stay good. They're forced down into the muck. So they say, most lenders, good lenders, want to have, clear yellow guardrails when they go out and lend, and everyone knows what the guardrails are so that you can't see that bad lending. So I think, deep down, I'm guessing, no one's saying this, but I'm guessing deep down, there's a lot of concern about what's happening at the CFPB.